there, Diane Evans here with StampinWithDiane.com. I'm an independent Canadian Stampin' Up demonstrator here in British Columbia. So if this is one of your first times joining me on YouTube, welcome. And if you've never joined me before and you happen to fall upon me by accident, I really do appreciate that. But if you could subscribe below, I'd really appreciate it. And also by subscribing, man, get your tongue around that one. By subscribing, you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And if you want to be notified immediately as soon as I hit put on a new video, you can hit the bell below. So today what I want to do is I'm part of a casually crafting blog hop design team. And what we do in this particular design team is we do cards or other projects that are suited for the casual crafters. And what I mean by a casual crafter is one that doesn't really have a cut and emboss machine. It doesn't have the dies and everything to go along with things. Even though this particular stamp set that I'm using today does go along with dies, you can use the stamp set without dies. So I'm going to show you how you can go about doing that. And then also another thing, this particular month, we did a Tic Tac Toe challenge. So my items that I picked on a Tic Tac Toe was Christmas, it was layers, and it was embossing. And embossing is one of my favorite techniques. The heat embossing is my favorite technique of all techniques. And I still go back to that particular technique all the time. All right, so we are going to be using the Merry Snowflakes. It does come with some stitched snowflake dies, but that, like I say, we're going to do it without. And the other thing that I'm using are these beautiful snowflakes that are wonderful. They're called Wonderful Snowflakes, and you get 24 of them in a pack. Really good bargain. It has iridescent paper. But the other part with this iridescent paper is that you can use this paper in between for different things. So I'm going to need one of those snowflakes out of that particular one. I've got my cardstock cut here, and I want to make sure that I use this ribbon. I'm tending to forget to use my ribbons, but this ribbon is an iridescent glittered organdy ribbon, and it's so pretty. It's just gorgeous. Anyways, let's get started on my card. I'm using Misty Moonlight. I've done it 5.5 by 8.5. All my measurements will be connected to a blog post that's listed down below. I've scored it at 4 1/4, and I'm just going to go fold into the mountain, and let's go and do a really good score. All right, now the other thing is I have 2 pieces of cardstock here. I have one for the inside and one for the outside. So it's the outside one that I'm going to do. Now another thing is our silver foil now comes in a pack of 3 different silver foils. One's a gun barrel, one's a bit different, and then there's a brushed silver. Now this piece originally was 4 by 5 1/4, and I've used my rectangle dies to cut this part out. And why I do that is because this part's going to go over top, and I'm not going to see all of this wasted real estate, I guess is what you could call. And because you only get 3 sheets of this and only one of this particular style, that's why I did it this way. And then I also have another piece that's 1 inch by 4 1/4, I believe. No, 1 inch by 4 inch. And then I have a piece of the Misty Moonlight that's 3/4 by 3 3/4. All right, so let's get going. Now, I am going to be using my Embossing Buddy. You can make your own Embossing Buddy by getting an infant sock from a dollar store, and I should actually do that, but I don't have a sewing machine. So so you fill it with cornstarch and then sew it up really, really good. You will find, because of using an infant sock, you might be best to double layer it. Otherwise, you can have cornstarch all over everything. So I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to use my Embossing Buddy on my Misty Moonlight. It's the dark colors that really show the embossing, but also I'm going to go in and I'm taking my whole piece of my basic white because I'm going to be stamping randomly on here. All right, so let's see. I'm going to bring in my Versamark, and you know, I think take another Versamark. I'm hoping maybe it's, yeah, it's a little bit cleaner of a Versamark. So let's see how this one's going to work. Now, I do know that this particular stamp set does have halos, or does create halos on it. So I'm going to stamp from the down this way. I have more control instead of pushing into the ink pad, and I don't want it to have these halos, or else they're going to show with the embossing. So I'm just going to randomly stamp, and I'm going to do them some each. Let's see, I can kind of see where I've got that. I'm going to go up here, some off and some on. Like I say, stamp from the top, and I should be bringing that in a little bit more. Stamp from the top going down, and then that way you're not going to get those annoying halo marks. All right, so we've got 3 there. So I'm going to go in with this one. Again, I'm stamping from the top down. Stick this one right in there. And like I say, that's going to kind of stop us from having all of those halo marks that I had in my original card that I did do. And I see that I've got some color on here, but that's okay. And the reason I say that's okay is because I can actually see this better, because I have to kind of have this light going different ways just so that I can catch that. Let's see. Now I'm going to put some of that one on. So again, I'm stamping from the top going down. Just got to get that light to catch that a certain way. Let's go back to this one. I'm going to do a partial one right over here. And I think we could do another partial one down here. And I guess we could always add afterwards, but we are adding other layers, so it's not something that we're really going to have to worry that much about. Okay, I want to make sure I don't put my finger where that embossing is. Let's just go, and we're going to dip this in. Now, I just put my embossing powder into these containers. I find it's easier for me. And I do have layers on here. Even though I did it that particular way, I have layers. But no worries, I can go in with a brush, and I'm going to actually take those halos off. So you definitely want to make sure that you've got all those halo marks off. Maybe I didn't get it clean from when I did it before. Let's see, how am I doing? Looks pretty good, actually. There we go. That should be enough. I'm just going to put that to the side, and now we're going to stamp our greeting on here. And I'm using the Merry Everything. I just find that it's such a pretty stamp. Now, I'm just going to, again, stamp from the top down. And let's see if I can get this straight. I've moved it around a little bit, so I'm hoping it's okay. Got it a bit high. And you know, I could get away with that because I could trim it just a little bit, but let's go ahead and heat set this. Now we're going to use our heat gun. There's 2 speeds to this heat gun. You've got the low one. That's usually for drying. And then I'm going to use the higher one for my embossing. Whoops, wait, that's not a good sign. Now, because I'm using a self-healing mat, what might be a good idea is for me to put a silicone mat underneath this. But I think I should be okay because I'm lifting this one up. ouch, ouch. Okay. I actually have another one that's done on that. And then I'm going to come in with this one. And let's go ahead and heat set this. Now, white on white is more difficult to emboss. You want to make sure that you get all of it embossed. So move slowly and just watch it change color. Because with this particular technique, if you do not get it all embossed, you're going to run into problems with it. You don't want to overcook it as well. And like I say, I'm just making sure I've got it all. Now, when it's not cooked, it is dull. And then it's quite shiny when it gets heated. I shouldn't say cooked, I should say heated, right? And let me just double check. There we go. All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to bring in our Misty Moonlight, and we're going to do what we call heat embossing. Oh, and I forgot to do one more thing. I forgot to do my snowflakes. That's no good. So let me go in and let's get our snowflakes done. Oh, I thought I had that extra piece there. There we go. All right, so now we want to also go in, and I'm just using my embossing. And I don't really mind if there's residue from the cornstarch on there. And I've got these 3 snowflakes. I've already gone ahead and done one of them. So I'll just do the one. I've cut, because I'm not using the dies. I'm actually going and I am fussy cutting. So I've already fussy cut 2 of them. See, look at that. I did it from the top again. But see, that's easy enough to take off. All right, so we're going to heat emboss that one as well. Usually like to do it all at the same time, but this one at least you can see really, it's beautiful the way that the embossing works on this particular one. Just check that out. Like I say, for a casual crafter, this would be my go-to technique for sure. Like I say, don't wave the gun like that. You just want to do it over slowly. And I'm just going to put the lid on that. Take the time to put the lid on that right now. All right, so we're almost ready to get going on this card. So the one thing I want to do is, this is the piece that's been embossed with the white. I'm going to come in with my Misty Moonlight. And when I do this, I always go into my lid and then I go off of the sheet itself, because I don't want it to be a lot of different uneven textures, or sponging, I guess is what it is. So you just want to go in here. And this, like I say, this technique is called Embossing Resist. So that embossing powder, the cooked embossing powder, is going to resist. You can kind of see that it's working, but wait till I show you how we really make that pop. So let's just get that. Whoops, see, I got that one dark spot because I didn't go off on my paper before. But you know what? We'll be okay, because it's kind of... I want to do that just a bit more here. Let's see, how's that looking? A little bit more. And of course you could go in and get it darker if you want in certain spots. Like I might want to go darker in the middle of the snowflakes. All right. So let's see if that's enough. All right. So now what you're going to do is you're going to come in with some Kleenex, and you're just going to rub that off and see how that just, what we're doing is we're just taking that excess ink off of the embossed stuff, and it pops right up. See how that works? It's beautiful. All right. Now we can go ahead and let's put this frame onto the card. So you notice it's a little uneven, but that's okay because we are covering it up. So just come in with my glue. Just a thin bead. One thing, I love using glue, and when you use adhesive and it gets onto your foil, on the front of your foil, it tends to dull it. So mind you, this is brushed and it's dulled anyways, but I really don't like glue onto my foil at all. All right, so we've got that. We can go ahead. Now I got to decide, am I going to put this at the bottom? Yes, we're going to cover this little blotch up there. So I'm just going to go in and I want to make sure it's around the outside because that's going to go onto the foil and also on the middle. So we're just going to put that on there. So see, I'm doing, this has got the Christmas because I've got the sentiment on there. This has also got the Christmas. It's got layering and it's got the embossing on there. All right, so I'm going to bring in my other snowflakes. I did kind of cut out. My goodness, where did it go? I just had it here. It was right, there we go. I knew it was right there. I've already cut that one out, so I'll just show you how you can quickly fussy cut this particular one. I moved my paper when I fussy cut. And we're just going to go up, that. So that. Guess I probably should have done the other ones, shown you how to fussy cut the other ones, and it wouldn't have taken as much time. But, you know, you get the feeling when you do this sort of stuff that it works quite well. So we're going to put these on. I don't know how many we're going to use. I did try originally to do this with vellum, and I just didn't like how the snowflakes looked on the vellum. To me, they just didn't stick out enough. And this would be really nice with some of these sentiments. There's some beautiful sentiments on here. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. That's a really nice saying too. Isn't that also part of a song, I think? Okay. Or a carol, I guess is what we call them. All right. So there we go. So we have that ready to go. I've got this ready to go on here. So I'm actually going to pop this particular one up with dimensionals. Oops. Got some of my dimensionals stuck on there. All right, so let's just put some dimensionals onto the back of this. We want to make sure that it doesn't dip down, so I'm actually going to use that. And I'm going to use a portion off the side to put on the end, just like so. And of course we use our Take Your Pick tool to take that off. This Take Your Pick tool it's a must-have. You see it's got the brush to take your stuff out of your dies if you happen to have any. Let's do this Merry Everything. Now I want to make sure I use that beautiful iridescent glittered paper. Now that's just off by a bit, so I'm just going to cut this. There. Now my thought was I was going to tie it around the end here, and I think that's what I'm still going to do. Now the way I tell, let's see, let's put it on this way. And I think I'm just going to tie it in a knot. So let me just snip this off. I think a bow would just be too much. It's too thick of a ribbon. It's kind of stiff, this ribbon, but it still ties really nice. Let me just put that in there. Okay, and I can go in and I can give that a bit of a haircut. I don't want to take off too much because it's so pretty. And you know, this ribbon can color very nicely too. So that's going to go there. So see how we're getting that layering going. I think I can put this down here. We can do one up here, and let's do one down here. Yep, that doesn't look too bad. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop that up as well. So let's go pop this up. And I think we'll lay this one down flat, and then we'll pop up the other ones. So let's just take that off. So this is just going to go on here like so. I'm going to just glue this one on. So you can see I'm getting my layering on. There we go. This is going to, I think I'm going to end up popping. Yes, I'll just put one on this side. And I'm going to stick it in between the silver and this, like so. That gives a tiny bit of a different look. I want that over a little bit there. And then I'll bring this one and I'll put a couple of dimensionals on the back of that. Other than the inside, we're on, oops, you know what I was going to do? I was going to use this, wasn't I? I wonder if I can do that. All right, so let's get this down there. Sorry, I really wanted to get that on there. There we go. It's going to go there. We're going to pop this underneath there. Have you ever taken apart a card? I'm obviously having to take this one apart. There we go. And then one up here. There we go. And I really think this kind of needs some rhinestones as well. I think it's just a simple, let's just break this one out, and I'm going to use some big ones. Let's use this one here. Oops, let's get that in the middle. And this one can go right there. And you know what? Let's put another one right up here. There we go. Wow. Very, very shiny card. It definitely is layered. We've got lots of layers on there. We've got our Christmas. Oh, and you know what? I had the inside of that card. What I can quickly do is I'm just going to take one of these, this one here, and I'm going to go in with my Misty Moonlight. I'm just going to quickly wipe off this, the Versamark off of there. And because I know we get halos on this, I'm going to go down from the top down. Make sure that there's no ink on the rest of it. And then we're just going to stamp this right off to the side here. And then we can go in and we can put one of these sentiments on there. I don't think that's, this is a little scary when I sit there and say I'm going to put a sentiment on the inside. That's okay. Let's try this. Let's make sure it's straight. Tend to line up my grid paper. It's just a tiny bit crooked. Let's try that. again. There we go. That's just going to go right about there. I like how this font goes darker at the end. It's really quite pretty the way that that goes. All right, so let's just glue that one on. You know what? I think I'm going to use my seal on this one. And let's just put that onto the inside of the card. Whoops. And you notice I go a little bit less than the quarter. So this piece is 3 3/4 by 5. There we go. So I hope you like that. If you did, give me the thumbs up. If you have any questions, go ahead. And any comments, I'd love to have some comments as well. Make sure you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also make sure that if share it with somebody. I'd really appreciate you sharing my video with other people. If you do live in Canada and do not have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. I have a very generous online reward program. Also, another thing is I give away tutorials each and every month. So even for this month, there's an extra tutorial with the celebration items as well. So I hope you enjoyed that, and you have a great day. Bye for now.